a lot of people were wondering about and a lot of people wanted to know about was there were a lot of preconceived notions about the hip hop industry and rappers and music like that. People were saying that, adults find that music to be a bad influence for children because they're always singing about like drugs and sex, and that's what, they say that it is. Now I have my opinions about that, but I'd like to see also what you guys think about that. The rap industry or the hip hop industry, that type of music, is it truly a bad influence, and where did like the heart of it, what even is it now?
Personally, for me, dude, I'm first of all a huge hip hop fan. Like it's just in my daily life. I have to listen to hip hop almost every single day. I'm keeping up with the culture. I'm keeping up with the news. I'm keeping up with the personal lives of all these guys, and I'm a huge fan. Like I'm genuinely an obsessed fan of hip hop. While I am a fan of other things also, um, and it's weird because I don't make hip hop music at all, and I don't intend to, at least in the near future. I make completely different music, but it's the culture that I'm attracted to, not only because of what they show, all the bling, but because a lot of it is extremely true to what they have faced in either their childhood or their backgrounds have been and all of that. And while while the bling and the excessive all the things that you mentioned is
Yeah.
more is given more attention because of those things. There is a huge, in fact a majority of it, I would say, which is extremely meaningful and
True.
extremely life changing to a lot of people. Like I listen to a lot of J Cole, and J Cole has songs called ATM, which is about money. And a lot, but at the same time he has maybe 80% of his songs on his catalog which are maybe not as famous as ATM, which are so much about the culture that he grew up in. He's a product of an interracial couple. So he was living in a black neighborhood, but he was not entirely black, so he got bullied for
Acceptance
that.
and all that. Yeah.
There are so many things that these guys talk about that are so true to this day. Segregation and separation, which is a civil war, a 1950s topic, is still relevant in some parts of the US. And there is discrimination in some part of the US. There are majorly racist people all over the US, not only the US but everywhere. And there are stereotypes in every culture. And these guys are basically using hip hop as their outlet to show the rest of the world that they are not what a lot of those people are saying. you know so I feel like there is so much good stuff to consume there that is not being given as much attention. And it's sad that we have to talk about it like that, because hip hop is really beautiful actually.
No, I think like before I hand it over to Joy, I think, you were talking about segregation things. I think some of these comments that, these children's parents make, or like a lot of people discriminate hip hop for being, all about sex and drugs, could actually maybe not like unconscious racism also exists within that realm. For example,
Yeah.
people get so hyped up or like surprised by white rappers, which is why, Slim Shady, yes, Eminem, he made it like he was a pioneer and he was someone who was so special. And we appreciate him so much. And then you have like Macklemore and all these other people. But it does stem because people always automatically think that, hip hop music is associated with that. So then people quickly also assume that all black people are associated with that, or all Latino people are associated with that. I mean, movies like Gully Boy, in fact, even that, people who are always coming down from that is literally what the heart of hip hop is. Like, you came down from somewhere. We all are artists, but he expressed it in such a beautiful way that he came from a place where he was poor. Like, he didn't have a platform like us, and I mean, the success that just that one story faces. That's what the heart of hip hop, I think, is. Yeah,
Yeah.
Joy, do you have anything to say on that?
Um, what I had to say was that I'm not really into hip hop a lot, but the thing about adults saying that it has all that negative influence, I feel adults have been saying that about music for the longest time ever. Back in the day when metal used to be a thing, adults would say that this is cultivating
Satanic.
occultism in children. So yeah, adults have been saying stuff like that for the longest time. Plus, it's
Yeah,
such a
like said,
huge.
mostly unintentional racism, just protective, I think, about the people around them to kind of not let that culture come into existence in their life or something like that. But it does have a replicative nature.
Did you have anything to continue on, Joy?
Um, yeah, I was saying it's such a huge industry, and just pinpointing an entire industry to represent something can be kind of controversial. I think like an entire industry cannot just represent one thing.
And yeah, I think
Yeah,
as Siddharth said, it's the focus of the songs. Like I don't listen to a lot of hip hop either. I used to. My father's like a big, huge lover of like 90s old school hip hop. Like he loves old school rap. I don't listen to a lot of rap, but I will say one thing. You know, people tend to focus on songs about, you know, like them singing about strip clubs. Or I mean, there was a song. I mean, Gucci Gang. I'm not going to rant about that, but like there is a song, you know, like something like that became famous. So obviously, if that's what majority of the people are listening to, and that's what majority of people who are like propagating that, then obviously people are going to think that the whole industry is like that. You know what I mean? Like people are not
yeah,
focusing on. I mean, they're amazing. Chance the rapper, he sings. You know, I mean, he raps
yeah.
amazing.
It's very,
Even
very
Eminem, some
effective.
of his songs are so true to all of his struggles,
Yeah,
and as we said, logic and those people have, you know, they've been through all the controversies, but it's not like regular singers have not been through the same controversies as they have. In taking an example of someone like Whitney Houston, who had, you know, an abusive relationship, and then but people don't focus on, you know, the fact that she's just a singer. But for example, Chris Brown, who is also, you know, a hip hop artist,
yeah.
he's had his fair share of all of, I mean, all of
Oh,
his
wow.
controversies. So, and
Yeah.
then people immediately then they associate that with the entire industry. They assume that everyone in, you know, the rap industry treats people like that. So, I mean, again, it's really just about how people interpret art, and the popular music is about those things. Unfortunately, take songs like Anaconda. Um, you know, Baby Got Back from like years
People
ago.
are
All of
always
those,
going to be attracted to that kind of entertainment because
yeah,
it's
exactly,
lighthearted.
yeah, yeah,
It's lighthearted. It takes them away from the realness of what the problems they're facing or whatever it can
yeah,
be. They're always going to be more attracted to the thing that doesn't make sense, just to have fun with it.
yeah.
Fun is something that people want. So um yeah, that has to do a lot with
I
how
think
it's
to zoom into your point, fun is something that people want, especially with hip hop, rather than with regular music, which is what we.
because it's already it already gives an impression like they want it to be like that.
Yeah,
you know you don't listen to a singer songwriter rapping about singing about something and wanting you to have fun with it. They would want you to emotionally feel it, or
yeah,
they would
emotionally
want you
connected. Yeah,
all of that. But in a lot of cases, rappers say some things, and mostly the mainstream rap songs like Gucci Gang, etc. They say some things intending for the listener to feel like that, and say things like how they say. But at the same time, there is this huge majority that is not unnoticed but not given as much attention, like J. Cole and Eminem and all of those guys who are saying very real things. So it's a give and take.
does it ever worry you, that something like that is permanently going to affect how you will work in the future? Like, let's say that you have, you know, you have a new assistant who's a girl, who's a young girl, and you're already like older. Does that ever think? Do you ever feel like people are automatically going to have some preconceived notions just because you are a man, because you're going to do those things? And this is not like saying, we're not justifying those people, and we're not saying not all men, but we are just talking about, because it is something that is constantly, I think, at the back of all guys' heads who are not like that. Because when you have to do music, you interact with everybody.
Okay, I'll tell you what I think. It does have an effect, but not in a major way, not in a long term sense, but it makes you think. Okay, so being in industry, say for the kind of example that you give, maybe there's this I'm not talking about me as a musician here, but maybe there's this musician and maybe there's this fan who's really cute,
Yeah.
and she is just here to be nice to this guy, but one thing leads another way, and things can happen the positive way or the negative way. Anyway, it's one whole thing. But it does, when things like this come up, and when we had that whole Me Too movement, I don't know how
Yeah.
many guys were guilty of something that didn't get called out, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. No, definitely.
how many people might have done something that are still living out there and chilling, and maybe just being more careful now that that's happened. So it does make you think, what if, or whoa, did I ever do anything unintentionally? It's a thought that, in fact, I run an NGO, and we are doing a women empowerment week on our Instagram, and there is this live stream that we're doing at 5 o'clock, and I'm supposed to join it, and I wanted to basically tell our audiences on that Instagram today that I have been part of multiple groups, like the one that has been, you know,
You mean the
glorified
boys
recently.
boys locker room? Are you talking about?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it it's just so normalized. It doesn't make any sense. I have been part of these groups, obviously not to that level, but say in 11th grade, I remember being in multiple groups in which there weren't any bad messages like the ones we've seen,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
uh, dude, what do you think about this girl? I think she's really cute.
No,
The
I
conversations
understand. Yeah.
start, the conversations used to start, and there were guys who used to talk about it. I know within my friends group there are groups that I'm not part of also, where there are some memes being shared, some graphic content being shared on a regular basis. This has just become so normal, which is not a you know cool thing. So like it does make you think as an artist. Coming back to being an artist, I'm sorry I had to
No, no,
take
no.
a
It's completely valid.
different um as an artist, when you think about it, it does make you think and try kind of, you get to a more careful state at a show. After a show, if a girl comes to you, if a bunch of girls come to you and they say your music is nice, I think 30 years ago, if I was 21, I would have addressed it differently than I'm addressing it
How you
today.
would do it now?
Because I'm way more aware now. I'm way more educated about these feelings that exist now, and things that are more sensitive now, and things that are more universal now in within things like how a woman can feel, how consent works, and how all of these. And it is definitely something that affects it, but at the end of the day, for me, like, if I wanted to conclude this conversation without going too much into detail, I would just say the best thing that any man can do is to have conversations, not just with one person, but in groups, with family, with audiences, even with venue guys. There was also this incident when I started out big in the beginning. When I released my first album, there was a claim against the owner of a venue in Pune. I can't name it right now, but a venue in Pune, who was involved in multiple sexual harassment claims. And one girl came out, and there were a lot of comments supporting that girl, and it became a thing, and that place shut down, and the whole indie community, the musicians community, pledged not to play there. But fast forward 2 years, 2 or 3 years later now, that place is up and running. I might even play in that place soon, and a lot of other people are playing. A lot of my friends have played, and it's all forgotten. And that guy is still that guy. So it does exist in our daily lives. And for me, I just say conversations with venue owners, conversations with indie artists, other artists, conversations with friends, conversations with audiences, conversations with everybody, and putting yourself out there and being open to learning about how other people feel can make it way easier. And even if unintentionally you make a mistake one day, because you had these conversations, it'll be easier for you to explain that you did not intend it. you know there's there's too many different, intricacies that we can get into with this
Yeah.
topic, but it's just that for me personally, I've never been in such a situation, thank God. But and I don't intend to, obviously. And I don't intend to see any of my friends going through it. But if it's ever going to happen, I'm just going to suggest one thing: is conversation.
Yeah. No, I mean you have obviously you've performed at Bravura like twice, which is all young people, young girls, young guys.
All the three bravuras actually. And
Exactly.
um,
So and for you to that's such a danger. You don't know what people might say after somebody goes goes through that. So I mean, again, it's just about, I think, being humane at the end of the day, and just as you said, educating and having the conversation. Um,
conversation, self-awareness, um, openness to new things, and putting yourself out there more often, talking, communicating, all the regular things that we all know about just need to be understood and put in action way more.
we are moving a million miles socially. I mean, not so much our country, but the people, the youth, we are moving we're moving in the right direction. Hopefully, I know after all of this, to everything that happened on Instagram, maybe not, but we are. And something that we had talked about on the prep call was inclusion and working with people from the LGBT community, and people working with more female artists, maybe even like the more the handicap community and all of that. Working with people like that, because what's important is that um, a few years ago, and yes, even just a few years ago, let's say like 5 years ago, 7 years ago, the opportunities for them were way lesser than opportunities for just normal cisgender people. Um, so yeah, what would you say about inclusion or things that you've done for inclusion?
I don't really know what to speak about this, except I feel that inclusion exists in the music community because after a while stops it stops being about your personality. Like, I might contradict about that later, but it's more about your art and your expression. No one cares about who you are in your personal life. It's about how you express yourself. So if your art is good, we don't care what you are or who you are.
Right.
That's all I have to say.
um for me, I think I'm just going to extend what Joy has said and say that artists, not only with this particular topic, I know I'll come back to this topic, but not only with this particular topic, but with everything. Say, even take the lockdown for example. The artists are the first people to come forward and entertain,
Yeah.
and come forward and make the content for people who are bored to be entertained and to not get bored. And the artists are usually the first people to kind of bring relief to a sad situation. If you're having I can't come up with great examples off the
So
top of
like
my head, but
Ariana Grande's Manchester concert after
yes,
her shooting, and
you remember that? Wow, I'm so glad you got that. Yeah. Yeah.
all of the We Are the Worlds and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and this whole the Global Citizen Music Festival being done for free by people like Coldplay in India. It's the kind of things that we are capable of as artists. Are We are the first community the rest of the world turns to for a lighthearted, for a good experience, for a good time. But also we're the last people to kind of be a part of the society as much as the conventional career option receivers are. So I just want to bring that out because Joy brought that up anyway. But when it comes to the LGBTQ community, I feel like, yes, like everything, artists have accepted this community way quicker and way better than a lot of other communities. You don't see these people, you don't see the LGBTQ community being readily accepted into, say, sports, or say the
It's very,
corporate. I
it's still very novel there.
Yeah, even if there are people, there are good people who are trying to accept it. As a, collectively, as organizations, a lot of organizations are failing to understand that these progressions are okay, while the artist industry is constantly always giving a home to any sort of people, in fact. And with that said, I also want to point out that there are still people and artists, unfortunately, who don't get it also.
Yeah.
You know, we are young. I think our generation is way more accepting and way more open to this. But I know personally that maybe somebody who's 20 years older than me won't see it as the same thing. But at the same time, there is this venue, like I said, there's this venue in Hyderabad that does rainbow nights, dedicated to the community, and even the artists are from the community, even the people attending are from the community. And it's such a vibrant situation. I've never been to one, but I hope I can someday. But yeah, there are things that are happening on a daily basis that are more accepting. um, I don't know how to conclude this really, but it's just a progressive thing. It's going to happen for a long time.
And do you guys have any closing statements that you'd like to say?
Joy.
Um, have a nice day.
Yeah, that's pretty, that,
Or,
yeah,
or night, like if you're
obviously,
watching this at night.
absolutely. Yeah, I would say, I always say this at the end of every sort of interview that I do, is that be more accepting to people around you, be more open to newness,
Mhm.
because it's very, very important, not only in the artist community but generally in life. If you're just open and if you're understanding people around you, it makes you a better person. And within the artist community, it's even more relevant. And I feel like musicians don't really want to go on stage every day and play music every day.
Yeah.
All they want is to be heard, is to have somebody to talk to about what they do, and not be judged upon that. So just be open to new people and artists and everything in general. I think that's the most important thing at the end of the day, for
Plus,
me and for people in general.
another thing I've noticed is that when you start being more accepting and open to other people, you end up being more accepting to your own self,
Mhm.
and that can be nice.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
yeah,
well,
it's a win-win for all.
Okay, well, that concludes the interview. Thank you so much. You can get both of their music on most music platforms. They also like put up a lot of stuff on their Instagrams. Sidharth also has his NGO, the Beautiful World Movement. So all of that, they're always putting up content. So please look them up. They're great. So thank you guys so much for doing the interview. It's
Thank you for having me. Actually, I just want to say also that this interview has been very unique, and I hope that more people um, talk about these things, the things that are being overlooked because of the more important things. Yes, there are important things, but this was a very, very important bunch of topics to touch, and I want to congratulate Zach on putting this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Listen,
Sure.
I'm just trying to learn stuff. But yeah. Okay, thank you guys so
Awesome.
much. Okay. Goodbye.